The libel battle between Rebekah Vardy and Coleen Rooney will wage in the High Court today. The so-called Wagatha Christie saga began back in October 2019 after Miss Rooney, Wayne Rooney's wife, of course, accused Miss Vardy, Jamie Vardy's wife, of leaking false stories about her private life to the media. I'm being told off for saying Coleen Rooney instead of Coleen Rooney.
Coleen. Very, very effeminate. Right now, well, GBNews presenter Rosie Wright is at the courthouse with all the details of this case. Thank you for joining us, Rosie. First of all, can you remind us how this broke into our lives back in 2019? There was a sort of sting operation, a really quite impressive private investigation from Coleen Rooney herself. What went on there?
Well, exactly, Tom and Mercy. Very good morning to both of you. A sort of Agatha Christie-style persona that Coleen Rooney took upon herself. It really has been sort of war of the wags. These two women centre stage in the public eye who've had a very bitter falling out, and it all happened on social media in the public eye. Now, Coleen Rooney grew fed up, upset about the fact that information she'd been posting on her private Instagram kept coming up, landing in the pages of the Sun newspaper. And so she conducted an undercover sting operation. She said, I had an idea. I blocked everyone. This is on a public post that she let out. I blocked everyone from viewing my Instagram stories except one account. I've saved and screenshotted all those original stories which clearly show just one person has viewed them. It's ... Rebekah Vardy's account. 3 stories that she posted that were fake. Things like saying, oh, my basement has flooded. Nothing particularly sort of salacious or juicy, but classic tabloid fodder. Well, Rebekah Vardy was absolutely horrified. She then posts publicly again and says, I'm disgusted. I'm even having to deny this. You should have called me the first time it happened. Well, whatever conversations those women had, they didn't come to any resolution, because instead of them settling out of court, the bitter dispute ended up for 2 days this week at the High Court to try and work out what evidence will be able to come to trial when they go to a full case in March. And Mercy, you said maybe this doesn't feel very important. Well, that's what some people walking past have said to me this morning. One gentleman said, what story are you doing? And I chatted to him and I said, it's the libel case between the two wags. He said, I can't believe that that's taken up the court for 2 days this week, and there's a lot more of it to come.
What kind of details have we heard so far? What kind of evidence has emerged in terms of what took place, the messages exchanged between the pair?
Well, the first thing is not all of the information that Coleen Rooney's team wanted actually was made accessible, because a phone that the court requested to look at was, you might say fortunately or unfortunately, I'm not kidding, dropped over a boat into the North Sea. So whatever evidence was on that telephone belonging to Caroline Watts, she's a PR, sort of a media advisor who worked in liaison with Rebekah Vardy, is somewhere at the bottom of the sea. We're never going to see what was on that phone now. But what was disclosed in court over the last couple of days were WhatsApp messages that were sent between Caroline Watt and Rebekah Vardy. Some of them, the content of them, just not okay for me to broadcast. But they reveal a couple of things. One, they talked about Coleen Rooney. Back in January, before her sort of sting operation was underway, when a story came out that Coleen said, I can't believe people are posting information privately about me to the Sun newspaper about some damage that had been done to her car. Well, what was revealed in those text messages is that Caroline Watt leaked the information to the press, something that previously Rebekah Vardy had said, I'd love to leak those stories. Well, those words are going to be teased at. Her team say, well, the fact that she said she'd love to leak the stories proves she wasn't the person doing it. Colleen's team say, well, no, it says quite the opposite. Also in those messages is a declaration from Rebekah Vardy after Coleen Rooney posts to say, look, bring it on. Well, Rebekah Vardy says that's war.
Well, what happens next in all of this? So we've been hearing evidence over the last couple of days. Is this going to go to a full trial, perhaps?
That certainly looks like the case. Now, of course, it's never too late for these two women to come together and settle out of court. Rebekah Vardy's team, though, think that Coleen Rooney is completely motivated to keep this in the public sphere, to try and say, no, I really want to have it laid out that Rebekah Vardy's account, and that's really clear, was to blame. Now, the case is going to come down really to 2 things. The first of all is that very specific terminology that Coleen Rooney used. She said it's Rebekah Vardy's account. She didn't necessarily say it was Rebekah Vardy. And Rebekah Vardy said, well, yes, lots of people have got access to my Instagram account, so it wasn't necessarily me. So that terminology is going to be poured over. But the other key thing is that Rebekah Vardy's team says, look, these allegations have caused huge damage and huge distress. The information disclosed in the WhatsApps, and some of which I just messaged, actually show no evidence that Rebekah Vardy was responsible for posting those 3 posts. Regardless, all of that will be teased out in May in a full libel trial that is costing hundreds of thousands of pounds.
Wow. I suppose it's not quite global affairs, but it is just, there's something really interesting about this story. I can't help but really want to listen to exactly what's going on and to find if there will be a conclusion. For now, Rosie Wright, thank you very much for bringing it to us. That's actually brightened my morning.
I'm glad you enjoyed that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not all about the big, heavy stories all of the time.
Yeah, celebrities fighting, I couldn't really care less.